Hi guys, instead of actually doing something when in power, the Tories keep talking about two things in particular. How their pet projects are the priorities of the British people, and about how nobody is talking about Labour or Keir Starmer on the doorstep. Then their MPs go on Tory-friendly media outlets like GB News or Talk TV, where they're able to push these ideas unchallenged. Case in point, Iain Duncan Smith being interviewed by Julia Hartley-Brewer. This type of echo chamber might make the Tory MP in question feel better about himself, but it actually damages the party in the election.
Well, I never say that the result is fixed, and I certainly don't think it is here. The polling is peculiar. This is not 97, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I'm out on the street a lot, knocking on doors, talking to people. We've got huge numbers of voting intentions. I go and help other people. The one thing I draw out of this is there is no desire, real passionate desire for Labour. And Keir Starmer is never mentioned on the doorsteps. Yeah. So when you probe them about Keir Starmer, they often shrug and say, well, you're all the same. And I know that the polling tells you when you probe it as well, that 45% of the public genuinely, when really pushed, can say that they haven't really made their minds up.
Yeah.
And that really
it's all to play for.
More like 92 than it is, I think, like 97.
And we saw, of course, that shock win for John Major.
We were significantly behind. And the main bit about this is that, honestly, we can guess what's going to happen, but this will be down to a fight as to who do you trust more. A man that sat alongside Jeremy Corbyn when other decent Labour MPs refused jobs. He sat with him when he wanted to get a second referendum to get us back in to defy the first referendum on Brexit. When Jeremy Corbyn and the party were accused of anti-Semitism, he still sat with him, defended him. And then suddenly this man as a shapeshifter has moved across to being apparently a moderate now that is wants to get rid of all of that.
We're going to hear a lot of this over the next 6 weeks.
Party are Corbynistas because they were elected in 2019.
All right.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful because the more he talks about Keir Starmer, the more he talks about Brexit, the more he talks about Jeremy Corbyn, the more he undoes his party's chances of increasing in staying in power. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous because when you're not focusing on the priorities of the voters, they're going to punish you. They're going to give you a bloody nose. And we're going to see that. For example, Iain Duncan Smith won his seat, held on to his seat in 2019 with a majority of 1,262. Now, maybe he realizes I'm going to lose my seat, so there's no point even fighting for it. Because if he actually cared, he would talk about the priorities of the public. But he's not talking about the priorities. He's talking about Brexit. He's talking about Jeremy Corbyn. He's talking about Keir Starmer in this way. The public are not going to vote on those lines. They're going to vote on whether they want another 5 years of Iain Duncan Smith and his party. Because the way you would hold on to power would be to deal with the issues that face people today. Cost of living, NHS, crumbling schools, jobs, things like this. But what are you doing? You're not talking about those things. You're talking down to the public in a sense. You're saying, well, the priorities of British people is immigration. And what is Keir Starmer's plan on immigration? He doesn't have a plan on immigration. We're the only party. So that's not the concern of the British people. The concern is the cost of living crisis. But you're not doing anything about that because you frankly don't care about it. It doesn't affect you. And you also know that if you were actually to do something about it, it would mean, well, raising taxes. It would mean trying to deal with cuts to public services. But you don't want to do that, ideologically. You prefer to distract, but you can't distract people from their reality. You can try. You can go on echo chambers like Talk TV and GB News where they're not actually going to challenge you, but it's not going to help you. It's actually going to make the situation worse for the Conservatives. Because when they're not focusing on the priorities of the people, they're going to lose their support. So you can talk about Brexit, you can talk about Jeremy Corbyn, you can talk about Keir Starmer flip-flopping or whatever, but it doesn't make any difference. It's not going to win people over because they're going to look at, okay, what's the current situation? I have to rely on food banks, or I have to work more hours and get less pay, or I have to struggle to pay my rent or my mortgage because of you people. I'm going to give you a bloody nose. We've seen people who have voted Conservative all their lives turn around now and say, no, we've had enough of them. Time for a change. We may not like Keir Starmer, we may not understand his policies, but we want to change. And the more the Tories don't talk about trying to win people back by dealing with the issues that they're facing, the less seats they're going to end up with at the next election. Or the fewer, I should say. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.